What he did in finance, Amgen had money and didn't have any interesting stuff going on in the pipeline. They were trying to acquire better pipelines. Pipeline is the development drug portfolio. So he was involved in some of that, valuing some potential acquisitions and one actual acquisition, putting numbers around, if successful, what would these products be worth and that kind of thing. So he did quite a lot in there. Then he was brought over because he fought so much with the guys in product development, saying that what they were doing was not value added, was not going to create value for the stockholder. They brought him over to head one of the product development teams. And then after that, he fought his way to launching a product that was an absolute disaster and should never have been launched. That's what happens when you put a thug in charge of things, he gets the job done. He then moved over to commercial to explain to everyone why he'd launched a product that nobody could sell. And then he moved into manufacturing. So he ended up covering the whole waterfront. If you go back to that pie chart of what people do, other than law, he'd done finance, R&D, finance, R&D again, the B part, and this is the R part, commercial, where he was sort of chief kind of presentation writer for the executive vice president in charge of sales and marketing, and then manufacturing, where he had a number of key jobs. And this was the team leader for this product, Kineret, that you're not alone in not having heard of, because nobody has heard of it, including the doctors who prescribed for rheumatoid arthritis. And the reason is that it simply didn't have a strong enough commercial profile relative to Enbrel, which in the end Amgen decided to buy from someone else who developed it. And I'm laughing because I'm one of the guys who said that they should go very easy on launching this product, and they didn't listen and wasted a lot of money. That's what management consultants do, and they only say, I told you so, to people who aren't in a position to hire them next time. Bob did an MBA at UCLA while he was at Amgen. And he then, when he could see that, that there was sort of a ceiling and he wasn't going to get any further than vice president, he looked around and he became CEO of a private, this is about 3 years ago, of a private company, and he was very clever because he picked one with 3 former Merck scientists who must know what they're doing. They were involved in the development of Singulair, which you may have heard of, an asthma drug. Anyway, they've stayed in the asthma field and they're making, and when the first year, one of the molecules they had started to develop, he managed to ink a deal with Glaxo. 400 million, they always exaggerate, 400 million if everything goes well. But I think he pocketed $50 million for the company on the signing with an easy $25 million milestone next. So if you're sold, and I'm not really trying to sell you because it's a high-risk, high-reward game, right? I thought you should first know that Amgen has a short set of values, Amgen values, and one of them is compete intensely to win. Some of it's self-serving, right? I mean, you're always going to say that you're those sorts of people, but there's a fair amount of truth in it. Relative to other businesses that I've worked with, I would say, yes, people do compete intensely to win. And what that means for anyone considering going into it, you have to demonstrate your smarts. Very much high ego and ego based on smarts, or at least apparent smarts. High achievement, you have to, perfect GPAs are kind of, what they're looking for. Hard work and passion. I mean, passion for the patients, passion for your project, for the product you're developing, and so forth. Even if you're not interested in the R&D side of this game, you would be crazy not to take Cheryl Gibson's AP biology class and do a lot of bioscience college courses, because Bob is not an R&D guy, the guy I described. Very successful, but if you don't speak the language of biotech, and if you can't sort of quickly assess, are these results good? When they come in with they unlock the clinical trial results, phase 2 trial, being able to look at that and say, we missed, or yes, we've got something here. Even if you're not part of R&D, you want to be able to speak that language, both for your own career management, but also for if you're in sales, if you're in marketing, you're dealing with doctors on the outside, you're dealing with insurers, whatever it is, even finance, you've got to be able to talk language. So, doesn't make sense going to biotech. Now, having said that, the current CEO of Amgen is a fairly mixed career, but no biotech in it at all. He was a nuclear guy in the Navy, nuclear subs. He was an executive at MCI, the telecoms company, and he did a stint at GE in general management. No biotech health anything in his background. He became chairman of Amgen, and his predecessor was a Ford executive at car finance. But I don't think that's the ideal profile. It's worked for them, not necessarily worked as well for their companies, I would say, because Amgen's R&D has been notably unproductive in 20 years under those guys. The previous guy, the founder of Amgen, was a science guy. He was the one who got them the big blockbuster products. But other than biology and bioscience, very important are project and team skills. This is all about teams developing products and multifunctional matrixy type of thing where you might work on three different product candidates at once and so forth. So teaming is extremely important. Project management is extremely important, and communication. So the ability to communicate complex data to more general managers is at a premium in this game. So those are the guy who's now head of Amgen's manufacturing gets up and irritates the hell out of his managers by saying, you know what, rather than all this stuff, the bioscience and the engineering, I wish we had liberal arts people who could actually write in English. Because he's saying, when there's a problem in a plant, I want a clear description of what we know, what we don't know, what our plans are, what the options are, what have we told the FDA, this kind of thing. And I'm not getting that. So it's interesting. So do not neglect ever the, writing skills, the humanities have something to offer as well. But you need the tough stuff.
My uncle's like in the company, but the company that does has a drug for the bubble boy disease, and he does sales for them. He says actually not taking science classes are actually really useful because he doesn't have to deal with all the random names.
Yeah, well, you have to be able to communicate whatever work you're doing, really, and that's tremendously important. So writing good essays in history and English and economics is very good discipline for writing a good memo or even a good email. Something terrible has happened in a plant. You need to let the right people know quickly. You have to be able to think very logically and then express very logically. What's happened? What do we know? What don't we know? Where are we? Because sometimes you have to pull a plug, and the chairman needs to know within half an hour we are about to stock out a product. In a month's time we will have no product because our fill and finish plant has molded. That happened a couple of years ago at Amgen. And the communication was less than perfect. And it meant that the CEO is hearing too late to be able to throw the resources at it, start schmoozing Washington because we need friends here and they don't want to find out too late. All that stuff, communication and logical thinking behind communication will always remain. I think that's all I've got. So questions.